30. Real circus freaks that shocked America. Rare photos. Have you ever wondered what really went on behind the velvet curtains of old circus sideshows? Not the glamorized posters or exaggerated legends, but the real people. The human beings behind the titles like the half-boy, the bird girl, or the man with two heads. In an era long before modern medicine and inclusion, the world flocked to traveling shows not just for entertainment, but for curiosity. These weren't just performers, they were pioneers of survival, navigating a stage where applause and exploitation went hand in hand. From the triumphs to the tragedies, what you're about to hear isn't just history, it's humanity in its rawest form. Let's begin with a woman who didn't just perform. She fluttered, flapped, and turned herself into a living, breathing bird. The two-headed man. History never gave him a name, but sideshow posters did. The two-headed man was born with parasitic twins, a rare condition where an underdeveloped second head is fused to a living, functioning body. He became a must-see figure in early 20th century circuses. Some claimed the second head would twitch. Others said it whispered. But whether those tales were fact or fabrication, one thing is certain. He was never given full humanity in the eyes of the crowd. In truth, parasitic twins result from incomplete embryonic separation, a phenomenon as tragic as it is rare. But in the golden age of sideshows, scientific nuance gave way to eerie fascination. His life was not his own. He was a symbol, a legend, and an object of grotesque wonder. He vanishes from records, unnamed and unburied in the annals of public memory. A haunting reminder that while the crowd may cheer, it doesn't always care. From tragedy to triumph, our next performer didn't hide his transformation. He embraced it and became an icon of power. Maurice Tillet. Maurice Tillet was born in 1903 in Russia, and by all accounts looked like any other young boy. But everything changed when he turned 17. Diagnosed with acromegaly, a hormonal disorder causing abnormal bone growth, Maurice's face and hands began to enlarge rapidly. But Maurice didn't shy away. He leaned in. Fluent in 9 languages, a devout Catholic, and even a poet, Maurice moved to France, then to the US, where he became a professional wrestler. His stage name, the French Angel. He wasn't just a curiosity, he was a champion. In the ring, he radiated strength, winning the American Wrestling Association World Heavyweight Championship. Fans loved him, children admired him, and yet beneath the persona, Maurice often battled illness and pain in silence. Before his death in 1954, he agreed to have casts of his face made. Those plaster masks now sit in museums, whispering the legacy of a man who turned hardship into heroism and became a possible inspiration for the animated character Shrek decades later. Johnny Eck. Before CGI, before stunt doubles, there was Johnny Eck, a man who turned disbelief into applause. Nicknamed the half-boy, or the man with no body, Johnny was born in 1911 with sacral agenesis, a rare condition that left him without functional legs. But Johnny didn't see himself as half of anything. He learned to walk on his hands. Not only walk, but perform acrobatic feats that left crowds breathless. He even played basketball, moving with speed and precision using only his upper body. And unlike many sideshow acts, Johnny had a twin brother, Robert, who supported him both on and off the stage, making their bond part of the act. Outside the tent, Johnny was a Renaissance man. He painted, sculpted, designed miniatures, and even worked as a film actor, most famously in Todd Browning's cult classic Freaks, 1932. He later ran a miniature train attraction in his hometown of Baltimore and lived well into his 70s. Johnny once said, "I'm not a sideshow freak, I'm a performer." But what if your very body was never truly yours to control? The next story isn't just about performance, it's about captivity, sisterhood, and a lifetime of yearning. Pip and Flip. Next up are two sisters whose appearance sparked fascination, but whose spirit brought joy. Meet Pip and Flip, conjoined twin performers with microcephaly, a condition causing a significantly smaller head and developmental challenges. Billed as the twins of Yucatan, their origin was likely fabricated to make them seem exotic. Truth is, we still don't know exactly where they were born. But what we do know is this: audiences didn't just marvel at their appearance. They adored their presence. They had an innocence about them. Their joy was infectious, and those who worked alongside them said they brought light backstage, not just under the big top. Pip and Flip found their place with the Circus of Horrors, and later became known to the world through the film Freaks, a rare cinematic time capsule of real sideshow life. In a world that often exploited, they reminded audiences of something deeper, that joy isn't always measured by convention or intellect. Frances O'Connor. Imagine brushing your hair, writing a letter, sipping a glass of water, all with your feet. That was the everyday reality of Frances O'Connor, a woman born in 1914 without arms. But what could have been a quiet, isolated life became a bold journey into the spotlight. At just 15 years old, Frances joined the Ringling Brothers Circus, where she amazed audiences not with tricks or exaggeration, but with real, lived skill. She ate, sewed, drank, and even applied makeup using only her toes. She lived with her mother in Sheridan, Wyoming, and traveled extensively across the U.S. Her act didn't rely on exaggeration or discomfort. It relied on admiration. Frances didn't perform as a freak. She performed as proof of human adaptability and strength. She later married and quietly retired from the circus world, but her legacy lives on as one of grace and independence. Pauline Musters. Born in the Netherlands in 1876, Pauline Musters stood only 21.8 inches tall, earning her a place in the Guinness World Records as the shortest woman to have ever lived. But don't let her size fool you. Pauline was a giant in talent. Trained as an acrobat and dancer, she captivated audiences across Europe with her elegant footwork, balancing acts, and spirited personality. Nicknamed Princess Pauline, she toured Paris, London, and even New York. But fame came with risk. Traveling in the late 19th century as a medically fragile person meant constant exposure to illness. In 1895, just 2 days into her U.S. debut, Pauline died of pneumonia and meningitis. She was only 19. Her passing stunned the press. Obituaries mourned her not as a curiosity, but as an artist, proof that in her short life, Pauline had earned admiration that reached far beyond her frame. Daisy and Violet Hilton. Born in 1908 in Brighton, England, Daisy and Violet Hilton were conjoined twins, joined at the hips, sharing blood circulation but not organs. Their mother gave them up at birth. They were taken in by Mary Hilton, who saw not daughters but dollars. For decades, Daisy and Violet were marketed as a miracle. They learned to sing, dance, play instruments. They toured across Europe and America, performing in vaudeville acts and starring in films like Chained for Life. But behind the scenes, their lives were tightly controlled. Their earnings were taken. Their decisions were made for them. Only in adulthood were they able to break free and manage their own careers. Though they finally experienced moments of autonomy, their lives were marked by struggle. They died together in 1969 from the Hong Kong flu, their bodies discovered days later. They had shared a stage, a body, and a lifelong quest for freedom. Jo Martin Lorello. No special effects, no camera tricks. In the golden age of sideshows, Jo Martin Lorello had a trick up his neck, literally. Born in 1886, Lorello became famous for a talent that startled even hardened spectators. He could rotate his head a full 180 degrees. Yes, you read that right. Jo arrived in the U.S. in 1921, and not long after joined the legendary Barnum and Bailey Circus, where he built a reputation as the Owl Man. He would walk across the stage with his head fully turned backward, grinning eerily at the crowd from over his shoulder. the act was silent, strange, and unforgettable. In 1940, Life magazine featured a photo of Lorello in mid-performance, a haunting image that made him a minor celebrity. Behind the scenes, Joe was quiet and disciplined. He rarely spoke about his condition, but medical experts suspected it stemmed from unusual vertebral flexibility and pain tolerance. He passed away in 1955, leaving behind a legacy of silent, contorted showmanship that still haunts sideshow lore today. From someone known for his twisting form, we turn now to the smallest performer ever recorded, proof that stature is no measure of stage presence. Susie. In a world obsessed with appearances, Susie was born with ichthyosis, a rare skin condition that causes extreme dryness, thickening, and scaling of the skin. To the sideshow crowd, she was known by cruel nicknames like Alligator Girl or Elephant Skin Woman. But to those who knew her, she was a fighter. Her skin constantly cracked, bled, and required meticulous care. Still, she stood under the harsh lights of the circus, allowing strangers to gawk, not out of vanity, but survival. Sideshows offered something no one else did: employment and a place to belong. Susie turned her condition into a presentation, educating some, entertaining others. But it was never easy. Constant physical discomfort accompanied her, and the emotional toll of being objectified could never be ignored. From skin as armor to hair as a spectacle, our next story takes us deep into the jungles of perception and a disturbing pseudoscientific past. Crow Farini. Imagine being a child and being told you were a bridge between apes and humans. That's how Crow Farini, born in 1876 in Laos, was introduced to Western audiences. She had hypertrichosis, a condition causing excessive hair growth all over her face and body. But instead of compassion, the Victorian era wrapped her in the grotesque theory of evolution as spectacle. Labeled the missing link, she was displayed in Europe and America as proof of Darwin's ideas, pushed not by science but by profiteers like P.T. Barnum. Dressed in tribal costumes, Crow was told to grunt, pose, and stay silent. But behind the scenes, she was fluent in several languages and was said to be witty, articulate, and observant. She remained in show business well into adulthood and passed away in Brooklyn in 1926. By then, she had become a sideshow veteran, but more importantly, a woman who had lived her entire life under a label she never chose. Fedor Jevtuchu. Fedor Jevtuchu was born in Russia in 1868 with hypertrichosis, like Crow, but his story took a more theatrical path. Under the care of his showman father, Fedor toured Eastern Europe before being discovered by P.T. Barnum, who renamed him Jojo the Dog-Faced Boy. On stage, Fedor barked, growled, and snarled, following a character forced upon him by Barnum's marketing machine. The hair on his face, ears, and arms was real. The performance? Manufactured. But audiences adored him. Offstage, Fedor was shy and polite. He spoke multiple languages and enjoyed reading. Sadly, he died of pneumonia at just 36. His story, however, lived on. Decades later, Fedor's look reportedly inspired the design of Chewbacca in Star Wars, a pop culture icon that echoes his unforgettable face. He may have been billed as beastly, but Fedor was all human, kind, intelligent, and misunderstood. Marianne Bevan. Born in Britain in 1874, Marianne Bevan led a quiet life, working as a nurse, marrying a loving man, and raising children. But after her husband's untimely death, everything changed. Mary began to develop symptoms of acromegaly, which caused her face and body to enlarge and harden. Now widowed and visibly changed, she struggled to support her 4 children. In desperation, she entered a Ugliest Woman contest and won. That victory brought offers from circuses and sideshows. Though dehumanizing, Mary took the work, not for fame, but to feed her family. She toured throughout Europe and America, often smiling despite cruel whispers. Behind the headlines was a mother who did what she had to do. And though newspapers mocked her, many in the audience admired her resilience. Mary died in 1933, having endured more cruelty than most ever will. But today, she is often remembered not with ridicule, but with respect. Grace McDaniels. Grace McDaniels was born in 1888 with Sturge-Weber syndrome, a condition that caused severe facial birthmarks and deformities. To a society obsessed with appearances, she was labeled the mule-faced woman. But behind the stage name was a woman with dignity, love, and grit. In the 1930s, she joined Harry Lewiston's traveling circus, where she earned enough to support herself and her son, Elmer. She became a loyal performer, often refusing photo ops that felt degrading and insisting that her son receive an education. Those who knew her described Grace as soft-spoken, intelligent, and fiercely maternal. She wasn't looking for pity. She was looking for a place where she and her son could survive. Upon her death in 1958, Elmer buried her in her hometown with a simple gravestone, far from the bright lights, but close to the home she always loved. Annie Jones. Born in Virginia in 1865, Annie Jones had a full beard by the time she was 5, a result of hirsutism, likely caused by a hormonal imbalance. That same year, she began her career with P.T. Barnum, labeled the Bearded Girl. Unlike many sideshow acts, Annie wasn't silent. As she matured, she became an outspoken advocate for performers like herself, publicly objecting to the term freak and fighting for respect and fair treatment within the industry. She toured Europe, appeared on stage in elegant Victorian dresses, and demanded to be seen as more than just facial hair. Annie married twice, and her grace and wit earned her admiration from fans and fellow performers alike. Though she passed away in 1902 at just 37, her legacy endured, not just as a sideshow star, but as a woman who refused to be reduced to her difference. Millie and Christine McCoy. Born conjoined in 1851 in North Carolina, Millie and Christine McCoy entered the world under the cruel weight of slavery. They were sold as infants and passed between showmen like commodities, but within them bloomed astonishing resilience. Connected at the base of their spines, the twins learned to walk, dance, speak multiple languages, and sing in perfect harmony. They were billed as the two-headed nightingale, and eventually became stars on both sides of the Atlantic. After emancipation, they took greater control of their careers and earnings, an extraordinary feat for formerly enslaved, disabled women in the 19th century. Edouard Beaupré. Born in Saskatchewan in 1881, Edouard Beaupré grew faster than anyone in his small town. By age 9, he was over 6 feet tall. By 21, he stood a staggering 7 feet 8 inches, making him one of the tallest people on record. But Edouard wasn't just tall, he was strong. Before joining the circus, he worked as a ranch hand and could lift a full-grown horse onto his shoulders. Soon, he was recruited by Barnum and Bailey, becoming a star attraction for his size, strength, and quiet charm. He also wrestled professionally, earning respect beyond the spectacle. Sadly, he died young in 1904 from tuberculosis, just 23 years old. His body was displayed for years without consent, until it was finally returned to his hometown for a proper burial. A final act of dignity for a man whose life was lived on display. Teo Valenzuela. Weighing an astonishing 645 pounds, Teo Valenzuela earned the title, heaviest man in the world. But behind that headline was a man navigating life in a body that often brought him pain as well as public curiosity. Teo became a local celebrity, performing in small traveling shows and county fairs. At a time when obesity was misunderstood and often ridiculed, Teo offered himself to the public gaze, for livelihood and perhaps for a sense of identity. Everyday life wasn't easy. Walking, dressing, sleeping, each task came with its own challenges. But when Teo appeared on stage, he carried his weight with surprising confidence and even humor, sometimes joking with the crowd about his size. Pansy Chinery. In the early 1900s, aerial acts were all the rage, but few dared to do what Pansy Chinery, known by her stage name Ed E. Iana, pulled off. Literally. Pansy was an aerialist who suspended herself from trapezes using only her teeth, spinning and swinging high above the crowd with no safety net. It was terrifying and mesmerizing. Audiences screamed, some turned away, but Pansy held firm, jaw clenched on a leather grip or steel ring, trusting her strength and her timing. Little is known about her life outside the tent, but her act became legendary during World War I era circuses. She symbolized more than daredevilry. She symbolized female strength in a time when women were expected to stay grounded. Bill Dirks. Born in Alabama in 1913, Bill Dirks had a cleft palate and a severe facial deformity that gave the impression of two noses and an exaggerated central forehead. But in his 40s, rather than hiding away, Bill turned his face into a brand. Using makeup, prosthetics, and a clever trick of illusion, he rebranded himself as the man with 3 eyes and 2 noses. While the third eye wasn't real, the crowd didn't care. His act fit the tone of mid-century sideshows, mystery over medical truth. But Bill wasn't just a gimmick. He found love within the sideshow circuit, marrying fellow performer Mildred, known as the alligator-skinned woman. The couple traveled together, worked together, and even appeared on sideshow posters as a dynamic duo. Bill's story is a reminder that sometimes embracing your difference is the path to freedom and to love. Alice Elizabeth Daugherty. Born in Minneapolis in 1887 with hypertrichosis lanuginosa, Alice Elizabeth Daugherty entered the world covered in fine, silvery blonde hair, like a newborn mammal. By the age of 5 months, she was already being exhibited in storefronts and expositions. Dubbed the Minnesota Woolly Girl, Alice never chose the spotlight. It was chosen for her. Her parents, seeing a unique opportunity, displayed her for profit, touring the Midwest through traveling shows. Her condition, while harmless, made her a constant object of fascination. Yet Alice was known to be sweet-tempered, intelligent, and fond of reading, traits often ignored by promoters who focused solely on her fur-like appearance. She eventually retired from performing in her early 20s and led a quieter life, away from gawking crowds. Her story is bittersweet, a reflection of a child who grew up on display and who finally claimed her own space off stage. Lavery Valley. Known to the public as Charmian, Lavery Valley was a professional trapeze artist with a bold twist. In the early 1900s, when modesty ruled public life, Lavery had the audacity to strip while swinging on a trapeze. Yes, you read that right. Her act began in a full Victorian dress. As she swung, she removed layer after layer, petticoats, bodice, gloves, until she revealed a form-fitting leotard beneath. The crowd? Shocked, entranced, delighted. But Charmian's act was more than titillation. It was performance art. In a time when women couldn't vote, she dominated the air with elegance and power. Even Thomas Edison filmed her in 1901, capturing her aerial striptease as a novelty, and perhaps unknowingly as a feminist statement. She redefined what a female performer could be, and the echoes of her defiance still ring through stages today. Aloysia Wagner. Born in Germany in the early 1900s, Aloysia Wagner, known by her stage name Violetta, was born without arms or legs due to tetra amelia syndrome. But even without limbs, she refused to be helpless. With the support of her half-brother, she emigrated to the United States and joined the sideshow circuit, where she was introduced as the beautiful Venus without arms and legs. And indeed, she was beautiful. She combed her hair, dressed herself, wrote, and even sewed, using only her mouth. Her act stunned audiences not because of her condition, but because of what she did in spite of it. It was a performance of skill, control, and quiet rebellion against expectations. Joseph Merrick. Born in Leicester, England in 1862, Joseph Merrick suffered from severe deformities believed today to be caused by Proteus syndrome and neurofibromatosis. His head grew to 3 times normal size, his skin thickened, and his right arm enlarged beyond function. He became a sideshow act across Britain under the name The Elephant Man. But Joseph wasn't grotesque. He was gentle, poetic, and brilliant. He loved Shakespeare, built cathedral models from paper, and longed for simple dignity. After years of cruel exhibition, he found refuge at London Hospital, where he was cared for and treated with respect. Joseph's story reached the world through David Lynch's 1980 film, which captured the emotional truth beneath the spectacle. His quiet plea, spoken in real life and echoed on screen, still haunts history. I am not an animal, I am a human being. Dominique Castagna. Little is remembered about Dominique Castagna, but in the early 20th century, he was one of many sideshow performers billed as the living skeleton. Dominique weighed less than 70 pounds and stood tall, his ribcage starkly outlined beneath paper-thin skin. His condition, possibly caused by tuberculosis or a wasting disorder, made him appear otherworldly. He performed by simply standing still, a silent statement of physical extremity. Often paired with fat ladies for contrast, his role was to shock, to create imbalance, to make the crowd wonder, how can he be alive? Frankie Saluto. Frankie Saluto stood just 3 feet tall, but on the circus stage he towered over the crowd with charm and wit. As a white-faced clown with Ringling Brothers, Frankie was beloved not for his difference, but for his brilliance. He carried a live rabbit on stage, delighted kids with slapstick, and even wowed adults with a dead-on Charlie Chaplin impersonation. Audiences didn't laugh at Frankie, they laughed with him. Unlike many other performers in this list, Frankie's story is light, joyful, and even inspiring. He embraced performance fully, retiring with dignity and being remembered as one of the greatest little clowns in circus history. He proved that difference doesn't have to mean despair, it can be celebration. Unzi. In the early 20th century, when science had yet to demystify conditions like albinism, Unzi was billed as the albino man and became a sensation in the US and abroad. Born with a lack of pigment in his skin, hair, and eyes, Unzi stood out and was recruited early into the circus world. His startling appearance, pale skin, white lashes, nearly translucent hair, drew crowds fascinated by what they didn't understand. Promoters leaned into the mystery, claiming he had magical powers or came from a distant, icy land. But Unzi was no ghost. He was a professional. He performed with Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, always punctual, polite, and well-spoken. Behind the act was a man who endured bright lights and flashing cameras that caused him physical discomfort, particularly because albinism often comes with visual sensitivity. Yet, he performed, he endured, and in doing so, he paved the way for greater visibility of people with albinism, even as he remained a curiosity in his time. Grady Stiles Jr. Grady Stiles Jr. was born in 1937 with ectrodactyly, a genetic condition that fuses fingers and toes into claw-like shapes. In the sideshow world, he was known as Lobster Boy, and he wasn't the first. His family had a long line of performers with the same condition. Grady performed for decades, crawling across the stage with his powerful upper body. But behind the curtain, his life unraveled. He struggled with alcoholism and domestic abuse, and in 1978, he shocked the world by murdering his daughter's fiancé with a shotgun. Despite his crime, courts gave him house arrest, citing his physical condition. He later remarried, but the violence didn't stop. In 1992, his wife and son hired a hitman to kill him. Grady was murdered in his home, bringing a tragic, violent end to a life already haunted by pain and dysfunction. Eli Bowen. Born in 1844 with phocomelia, Eli Bowen had no legs and shortened arms. But what he lacked in limb length, he made up for in pure upper body strength. Dubbed the legless acrobat, Eli stunned audiences in the late 1800s by flipping, spinning, balancing, and even performing on parallel bars, all with his torso and arms. Audiences came expecting pity. They left inspired. He was a regular performer for major American circuses and was widely admired, even outside the tent. P.T. Barnum personally championed him as a marvel of perseverance and ability. Eli married, had 4 children, and maintained a stable family life, an exceptional achievement for a sideshow star of his era. His resilience, both on stage and at home, made him a symbol of triumph, not tragedy. Now let's meet someone who didn't have arms or legs, yet found ways to move, to work, and to shine. Josephine Myrtle Corbin. Born in 1868 in Tennessee, Josephine Myrtle Corbin stunned doctors and sideshow promoters alike. She had a rare congenital condition called dipagus, which resulted in 2 separate pelvises and 4 legs, 2 normal-sized and 2 smaller ones. Myrtle joined sideshows at a young age billed as the 4-legged girl from Texas. The posters drew crowds. The reality? A kind, soft-spoken young woman who used her difference as a means of self-sufficiency. But Myrtle didn't stay on stage forever. She eventually retired and married a doctor. Astonishingly, she gave birth to 5 children, a biological feat made possible by her unique anatomy. Her life defied every expectation, not just medically, but socially. In a world that saw her as odd, Myrtle built a quiet life of motherhood, marriage, and dignity. Her story proves that even the most extreme physical difference can still cradle the most universal human experiences: love, family, and resilience. John Jennings. In the early 1900s, few names echoed through circus grounds like John Jennings, the man billed as the modern Samson. With bulging muscles and biblical branding, Jennings didn't rely on his looks or unusual anatomy. He relied on pure strength. His signature act? Bending steel bars with his bare hands, pulling carts with ropes attached to his chest. Once, he reportedly even held back 2 galloping horses with each arm, muscles rippling as the crowd gasped. But John wasn't just a performer. He was a symbol of unyielding power during a time when masculinity and myth often collided. His strongman act toured across state fairs and European exhibitions. Offstage, he was quiet and disciplined, training rigorously to ensure each feat was authentic. George and Willie Muse. Born in late 19th century Virginia, George and Willie Muse were African-American brothers with albinism, a rare condition made even more striking by their black heritage. But their story didn't begin under the circus lights. It began with tragedy. In 1899, the boys were kidnapped from their mother by circus promoters who renamed them Echo and Eco, branding them as Martian ambassadors or sheep-headed cannibals from Ecuador. They were exhibited across the U.S. and Europe for decades, told their mother was dead. They weren't just exploited for their appearance, their identities were erased, but their mother, Harriet Muse, never stopped searching. After more than 20 years, she miraculously recognized them in a circus poster and launched a legal battle. She won, not only their freedom, but their back pay and legal guardianship. Afterward, George and Willie continued to perform on their own terms, playing music and living peacefully in their later years. They were more than sideshow performers. They were proof that difference is not weakness. Behind every nickname was a human heart, longing to be seen, heard, and remembered. Cuckoo, the Bird Girl. Born in Georgia in 1880, Minnie Woolsey was unlike anyone the world had seen. Living with Virchow-Seckel syndrome, a rare form of dwarfism often dubbed bird-headed due to its features, Minnie had a tiny frame, large eyes, and a sloping jaw. But where some saw strangeness, many saw opportunity. She transformed herself into Coo the Bird Girl. Draped in feathery gowns and adorned with towering headdresses, she embraced a persona that was half human, half myth. Her movements were bird-like. Arms fluttered, feet danced, and her presence mesmerized. She became most famous for her appearance in Freaks, where her wild dance atop a banquet table left an eerie yet unforgettable impression. But that performance wasn't just spectacle, it was defiance. Minnie turned mockery into magic. Her routine walked the line between unsettling and captivating, forcing audiences to reckon with their own assumptions. Her later years remain a mystery, fading into the shadows like many sideshow stars. But the image of her dancing, bold and unashamed, remains frozen in film and in memory. 30 real circus freaks that shocked America. Rare photos. They say giants only exist in fairy tales, but what if you found out they were walking among us today? From basketball legends who wore size 21 shoes to record-breaking world champions who needed 6 plane seats just to travel, these towering individuals prove that the unbelievable is possible. So, which of these real-life giants will surprise you the most? Let's explore the lives of the tallest people in the world. Ulyana Semyonova. When you talk about the true legends of women's basketball, Ulyana Semyonova is a name you simply can't overlook. Born in Latvia to Russian parents, Ulyana became a towering icon, literally and figuratively, of Soviet basketball. Imagine standing 7 feet tall and wearing size 21 men's shoes. That alone would turn heads. But Ulyana was far more than just her height. Her incredible skill, incredible agility, and natural ability to read the game made her virtually unstoppable. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, she ruled the court with a mix of sheer physical presence and a level of skill that left opponents in awe. Her agility and uncanny ability to read the game made her nearly unstoppable. She could outplay, outmaneuver, and outthink just about anyone. By just 16 years old, she had already risen to national stardom, not only for her dominance, but for the pride she brought to her country. What's really remarkable is how she played, with a rare mix of grace, strength, and sportsmanship, despite her size. Her impact wasn't just measured in wins or points. She inspired a whole generation and became a symbol of excellence worldwide. To this day, Semyonova's name stands tall among the greatest in basketball history. Rumesa Gelgi. From the fiery basketball courts where sports giants assert their power, let's move on to another story. A story of extraordinary determination and the will to overcome fate. A girl from Turkey, Rumesa Gelgi, is not only a researcher and web developer, but also a tireless campaigner for people with rare diseases and disabilities. She currently holds several incredible Guinness World Records, including the title of the world's tallest living woman, along with records for the largest hands, longest fingers, and longest waist for a female. She was also previously recognized as the world's tallest living teenage girl. Rumesa Gelgi's extraordinary height is caused by Weaver syndrome, a rare genetic disorder that leads to rapid growth and unique physical features. Since this condition is much more common in males, Rumesa's case is especially rare. Because of the challenges her height brings, she primarily uses a wheelchair, though she can walk short distances with a walker. One of the most inspiring moments in her journey happened in September 2022, when she took her first ever flight. To accommodate her, Turkish Airlines removed 6 rows of seats and installed a stretcher, allowing her to travel from Turkey to California. The event captured worldwide attention and was even featured in the Guinness World Records documentary, Rumesa Walking Tall. Shaquille O'Neal. If Ulyana Semyonova is the reigning queen of women's basketball, then Shaquille Rashawn O'Neal, or simply Shaq, is the unchallenged king of men's basketball. Standing at 7 feet 1 inch and weighing 325 pounds, Shaq is a devastating machine on the court, with incredible strength and agility that allows him to easily overcome defenders. During his 19-year NBA career, Shaq played for 6 different teams, winning 4 championships and cementing his status as one of the greatest centers of all time. With 4 championship rings, countless all-star appearances, and a reputation as one of the greatest centers ever, Shaq made his mark in basketball history. But it wasn't just about his stats. His dazzling footwork, lightning-fast reflexes, and larger-than-life personality made him a favorite with fans everywhere. Shaq is not only known for his top-notch performances on the court, but also for his outspoken personality and his willingness to confront the media. His war of words with former teammate Kobe Bryant is well documented. And when asked about Bryant in 2005, Shaq responded in a cool and calculated manner. "I'm sorry, who?" It is this humor and charisma that has helped him maintain his popularity even after retirement. Today, Shaq has reinvented himself in unexpected ways. He tours the world as DJ Diesel, produces electronic music, and engages in playful confrontations, like when he responded to LeVar Ball's challenge with a diss track of his own. Truly, Shaq is proof that legends never stop growing. Yao Ming. Yao Ming is more than just a basketball legend. He's a true global icon who changed the game forever. Standing 7 feet 6 inches tall, Yao wasn't just a dominant center in the NBA. He also became a powerful bridge between Chinese and American basketball, helping expand the NBA's presence in China and inspiring a wave of new international talent. Throughout his career, Yao was an 8-time NBA All-Star, averaging 19 points and 9 rebounds per game. He was a force on the court, but his impact went far beyond the NBA. Yao led China to 3 FIBA Asia Championship gold medals and earned 3 MVP awards along the way. In 2016, he was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, delivering a heartfelt speech that solidified his place as one of the sport's most influential figures. As a player and cultural ambassador, his impact is still felt across the basketball world today. Taco Fall. Taco Fall is the kind of player you simply can't miss. His towering 7'6" frame makes him a living skyscraper on any basketball court. Born in Senegal, Taco's journey took a remarkable turn at 16 when he moved to the United States, determined to turn his dream of pro basketball into reality. At the University of Central Florida, he became a defensive powerhouse, using his incredible height and reach to intimidate opponents and block shots with ease. Though he wasn't picked in the 2019 NBA draft, Taco's infectious smile and unbelievable size quickly made him a fan favorite when he joined the Boston Celtics. He didn't just impress fans. At the NBA Draft Combine, he set jaw-dropping records for height in shoes, arm span, and standing reach. Stats that seemed almost superhuman. After his time in the NBA, Taco took his talents to China, joining the Nanjing Monkey Kings and continuing to wow basketball fans on a global stage. Taco Fall's story is a true testament to perseverance, heart, and the power of believing in your dreams. No matter how high the odds are stacked against you. Paul Sturgis. From the NBA arenas teeming with superstars to the stories of overcoming adversity, the world of giants continues to expand with incredible names. One of them is Paul Sturgis, an unmistakable figure in basketball history. Standing an incredible 7 feet 7 inches and weighing 325 pounds, he was officially recognized by Guinness World Records in 2011 as the tallest college basketball player in the United States at the time. What's special about Paul is that his growth spurt is entirely natural, not due to any medical condition, but rather genetics. Born in England, Paul first captured attention as a teenager on the TV show Britain's Tallest Teens, turning heads long before he even set foot on a college court. With giant-sized 19 shoes and a presence that dwarfs just about everyone, Paul went on to play basketball at Florida Institute of Technology, leaving a trail of stunned opponents and inspired fans. His journey from a headline-making teen to a record-breaking athlete proves that sometimes being different is your greatest strength. Which of these real-life giants amazed you the most? Tell us in the comments below. Paul White, Big Show. Paul White, better known to millions as The Big Show, is a true titan of sports entertainment. Towering at 7 feet 1 inch, his imposing size and sheer strength have made him a standout star in professional wrestling for decades. Before he ever set foot in the squared circle, White was already turning heads as a college basketball powerhouse at Wichita State University. But White's incredible size came with a challenge. He was diagnosed with acromegaly, a rare condition caused by excess growth hormones. Thankfully, after undergoing surgery to remove a pituitary tumor in the early 90s, his growth was finally brought under control. Making his wrestling debut in 1995 as the Giant in WCW, White immediately drew comparisons to the legendary Andre the Giant, not just for his stature, but for his larger-than-life charisma. When he jumped to WWE in 1999, he became The Big Show, a name that would become iconic. With a career spanning over 2 decades, White captured multiple world championships and squared off against nearly every legend in wrestling history. Beyond the ring, Paul White's charisma carried him into Hollywood with movie and TV roles, including his own Netflix sitcom, The Big Show Show. Today, he continues to entertain fans in All Elite Wrestling, AEW, as both a wrestler and commentator, securing his legacy as one of the true giants of sports and entertainment. Suleimana Abdulsamed. Imagine a man so tall that his weight exceeds the capacity of a hospital to measure him. That is the life of Suleimana Abdulsamed, a man from Ghana who has claimed the title of the world's tallest man, surpassing Sultan Kosen to set an incredible record. At a towering 9 feet 6 inches, 2.90 meters, a figure that will make anyone look up, Suleimana is not only a giant of a man, but also a living story of human resilience. This extraordinary height is the result of a rare medical condition that involves overproduction of growth hormone. While the condition can be controlled if caught early, it often comes with serious and persistent challenges, from mobility problems to sleep apnea to an enlarged heart. Suleimana's life is a constant journey of hospital visits, where doctors closely monitor his condition and try to manage the complications caused by his giant stature. During a recent checkup, the medical staff were shocked to find that his height had exceeded the limits of the hospital scales. These regular checkups are not only important milestones in his quest to live more comfortably, but also a constant reminder of the difficulties of living with a body that is constantly growing beyond normal human proportions. Sultan Kosen. Sultan Kosen is truly one of a kind, a living giant at an astonishing 8 feet 2.8 inches tall, officially crowned the world's tallest living man by Guinness World Records in 2009. Born in 2009. Turkai to a family of average height, Sultan's remarkable stature is the result of pituitary acromegaly, a rare condition that causes the body to produce too much growth hormone. Life at his height hasn't been easy. Everyday tasks most of us take for granted, like fitting into a car or finding clothes that fit, have been lifelong challenges for Kosen. His size even made it impossible to finish his education, and he worked as a farmer to support his family. But Sultan hasn't let these obstacles define him. He's found humor and practicality in his uniqueness, like helping his mom change light bulbs without a ladder. A breakthrough came in 2010 when Sultan underwent gamma knife surgery in the US to stop his continued growth. Since then, he's enjoyed international fame, fulfilled his dream of getting married in 2013, and made appearances in Hollywood movies and global events. Sultan Kosen's journey is a testament to resilience and embracing what makes you different. Gheorghe Muresan. Gheorghe Muresan stands quite literally head and shoulders above the rest. At 7 feet 7 inches, he holds the title of the tallest player in NBA history. Making his mark with the Washington Bullets in the 1990s, Muresan wasn't just a giant in stature, but also in skill. During the 1995-96 season, he averaged over 15 points per game and led the league in shooting percentage, proving he was far more than just tall. He was a true talent. His epic showdowns with fellow giant Shaquille O'Neal became the stuff of legend as Muresan faced down the NBA's fiercest competition with confidence and grit. Off the court, his personality was just as outsized. He ventured into Hollywood, starring alongside Billy Crystal in the comedy My Giant, and even made a cameo in Eminem's My Name Is music video as a puppeteer. But behind the spotlight and fame was a boy from rural Romania whose journey from humble beginnings to international stardom is a story of perseverance, heart, and the unbreakable drive to stand tall, no matter what. Please comment yes to let me know you'll be watching this video until the end. Robert Bobrovsky. As a young boy, Romanian basketball player Robert Bobrovsky amazed the world with his incredible growth rate. Standing at an incredible 7 feet 7 inches tall, he attracted considerable attention throughout his basketball career. By the age of 8, Robert was already taller than his mother, and by the age of 12, he had even surpassed his father. What is even more astonishing is that between the ages of 8 and 13, Bobrovsky was taller than Robert Wadlow, the tallest man ever recorded. Unlike many other exceptionally tall people, Bobrovsky's giant stature is believed to be due to genetics, not a hormonal disorder or growth disorder. In 2016, he moved to the United States, attended high school in Geneva, Ohio, and then played for the University of Rochester in Michigan through the 2021 to 2022 season. However, despite his impressive height advantage on the court, Bobrovsky's journey has not been easy. He has struggled with weight and fitness issues. When he made his high school basketball debut in 2017, despite standing 7 feet 11 inches tall, he weighed just 190 pounds with a BMI of 16.1, which is considered severely underweight. These challenges with his size and fitness have made it difficult for him to compete professionally. Still, Robert Bobrovsky's story is a fascinating example of human genetics and the unique challenges faced by extremely tall athletes. Aaron Reed. At 6 feet 7 inches tall, Aaron Reed is not only one of the tallest bodybuilders in the world, but he is also a living testament to the power of will. Not only does he possess an incredibly muscular physique, but he is also the tallest giant to ever win a male bodybuilding competition. Reed's journey was fueled by his idol, the legendary Arnold Schwarzenegger, who inspired him to enter the brutal world of bodybuilding and wrestling. Despite being a WWE wrestler and then a professional bodybuilder, Reed has always stood out for his impressive physique. But Aaron Reed's road to success was not a bed of roses. As a child, he battled a devastating leukemia, a challenge that shaped his future determination. Then, during his time with WWE, another health scare struck: hepatitis. However, instead of giving up, Reed turned those tough battles into inner strength, not only overcoming the disease but also reaching the pinnacle of his career. In addition to his resounding successes in the gym and on the bodybuilding stage, he is also an author, sharing his knowledge of nutrition and healthy living through his books. Aaron Reed is truly a giant, in both the literal and figurative sense, an endless source of inspiration for anyone looking for the strength to turn their dreams into reality. Martin Ford. Nicknamed the Nightmare, Martin Ford is a true icon in the world of bodybuilding, acting, and social media from the United Kingdom. Standing at around 6 feet 8 inches tall, Ford has attracted considerable attention for his massive physique and bulging muscles. This powerful appearance has made him a prominent figure in the fitness world, earning him that haunting nickname. Before he got into bodybuilding, Ford was a professional cricketer, but eventually turned his back and found his true passion in the gym. He quickly made a name for himself thanks to his massive physique and relentless dedication to building an extraordinary physique. His story of transitioning from cricket to bodybuilding is an inspiring tale of self-reinvention and relentless hard work. Ford has a huge social media presence, especially on Instagram, where he shares his fitness journey, workouts, and motivational content with his millions of followers. He uses his platform to inspire others to achieve their fitness goals, while also giving glimpses into his personal life and training regime. In addition to his bodybuilding career, Ford has branched out into acting. He has appeared in several films, expanding his influence beyond the world of fitness. Known for his unwavering commitment to fitness, Martin Ford continues to inspire millions with his dedication, discipline, and an extraordinary personality that is as big as his physique. Satnam Singh Bamara. From a small village in India, Satnam Singh Bamara rose to become an icon, not only because of his towering stature of 7 feet 2 inches and 360 pounds, but also because he was the first Indian player in history to be drafted into the NBA. In 2015, the Dallas Mavericks selected him with the 52nd overall pick in the NBA draft. opening an unprecedented door for Indian basketball. 12. Singh's journey began in his hometown, where his tall father inspired and introduced him to the game of football. At the age of 9, he was 5 feet 9 inches tall, towering over most adults in his village. By the age of 14, he was 6 feet 6 inches and weighed 230 pounds, wearing size 18 shoes, a phenomenal growth spurt. Recognizing his potential, he was sent to the IMG Academy in Florida, where he honed his skills and trained at the highest level. Though he never played in an official NBA game, Satnam Singh was a pioneer, a beacon for Indian basketball, inspiring generations to come. He later moved to professional wrestling, where his impressive physique and physical abilities helped him become a standout star at All Elite Wrestling, AEW. With a career spanning 2 major sports, Satnam Singh continues to make his mark on the global stage. Have you ever met a real-life giant or know someone super tall? We want to hear your story. Brahim Takula. In our world, there are people whose presence dwarfs everything around them. And one of them is Brahim Takula, a man from Morocco, a living statue of the extraordinary. Standing at a towering 8 feet 1 inch, about 2 meters 46 centimeters, Brahim is not only the second tallest living person, but also holds the Guinness World Record for the largest feet on the planet. Just imagine, when Brahm stands next to a car, his stature seems to be even larger than the car, dwarfing everything around him. Standing in front of Brahim, anyone, no matter how tall, feels completely overwhelmed by his colossal and overwhelming presence. His extraordinary height is not just a physical trait, but also a ticket to Takula becoming a central figure in the world of record-breaking giants. One memorable moment that is etched in his memory is when he and a group of the world's tallest people gathered in Paris. There, they were greeted by thousands of curious onlookers, all of whom were amazed and felt small in front of these giants. During that trip, Brahim had a meaningful and joyful photo shoot in front of the Eiffel Tower with his tall friends. Those images not only depict his extraordinary size, but also open a small window, allowing us to admire the life of a man who literally towered over everyone, both literally and figuratively, leaving an indelible mark on the hearts of those who witnessed him. Sun Mingming. Sun Mingming's story is one of remarkable perseverance. Known as the tallest professional basketball player in the world, at 7 feet 9 inches, Sun's journey from China to the US is nothing short of inspiring. He didn't even start playing basketball until he was 15, but his size and determination quickly made him stand out. After playing for Ventura College in California, Sun joined several minor league teams in the US, such as the Maryland Nighthawks and Grand Rapids Flight, and was even drafted by the Harlem Globetrotters, the tallest player ever to receive that honor. But Sun's path wasn't easy. In 2005, he discovered he had a benign pituitary tumor that was causing his extraordinary growth. Lacking health insurance, he and his agent launched a fundraising campaign that brought in over $100,000, allowing him to have the life-saving surgery he desperately needed. The successful operation not only saved his career, but also gave him a second chance at life. Sun Mingming's journey is a testament to resilience, hope, and the power of community, showing that with enough determination and support, even the tallest challenges can be overcome. Olivier Rioux. As a teenager, Olivier Rioux, a teenager from Canada, became a global phenomenon when he was recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the tallest teenager in the world, with an incredible height of 7 feet 6 inches, about 2 meters 29 centimeters. Currently a sophomore at IMG Academy in Florida, Rioux has captured the attention of basketball enthusiasts around the world. 3. The first time his height made headlines was when he posed for a photo with Chicago Bulls basketball commentator Chuck Swirsky. In that photo, Olivier towered over Swirsky, who is 5 feet 9 inches, creating a dramatic scene. Coming from a family of tall people, Olivier's home had to be adapted to accommodate their stature. The countertops and ceilings were higher than average, but the unadjusted door frames often caused Olivier to bump his head, a common problem in his daily life. As a child, Rioux spent hours devouring Guinness World Records books, fascinated by the world's tallest people and comparing himself to the record holders. 4. After realizing that no one was taller than him in the 2015 and 2016 editions, he was both shocked and relieved to officially achieve the title. The achievement has put him in the spotlight as a potential future basketball star, where his unique physique could give him a distinct advantage on the court. Christoph van Hout. Christoph van Hout has made a name for himself as the world's tallest goalkeeper, standing at an astounding 6 feet 10 inches. His incredible height gives him a huge advantage in goal, especially when it comes to dealing with crosses, high balls, and long-range shots. Currently with the Delhi Dynamos, Van Hout's massive reach and command of the penalty area make him an intimidating figure for any striker. However, being the tallest player on the pitch comes with its own set of challenges. Quick dives and sudden side-to-side movements can be tougher for someone of his stature, and maintaining balance isn't always easy. Still, Van Hout's imposing presence and impressive saves have earned him respect throughout professional football. His career proves that with the right training and a willingness to adapt, even extraordinary height can become a valuable asset between the posts. Ri Myung-hoon. Ri Myung-hoon, also known as Michael Ri, is a retired basketball player from North Korea. Standing at an incredible 7 feet 8.5 inches and weighing 282 pounds, he was once the tallest man in North Korea. He was a standout on the court, training in Canada and being courted by several NBA clubs with the promise of a breakout career. However, his fortunes were not in his favor. His dream of playing in the top league was thwarted by U.S. sanctions, specifically the Trading with the Enemy Act of 1917. In 2000, the U.S. State Department made Ri a proposal. He would be allowed to play in the NBA as long as he did not send any earnings back to North Korea. This condition led North Korean officials to decide not to allow him to leave the country. Notably, Kim Jong-il reportedly demanded that NBA scout Tony Ronzone pay the North Korean government in wheat in exchange for Ri being allowed to leave, a deal that never materialized. In a rare interview with CNN, Ri Myung-hoon expressed his intense desire to play at the highest level. "I am a giant of a man. I want to test my abilities. I don't care about money or politics. As an athlete, I just want to try." His exceptionally tall stature was again highlighted in 2011, when North Korean state television broadcast footage of Kim Jong-il's funeral, featuring an extremely tall man in the crowd, widely believed to be Ri. Brock Brown. Brock Brown, from Michigan, stands at a staggering 7 feet 9 inches, 2.36 meters tall, making him one of the tallest people in the world. His extraordinary height is due to Soto's syndrome, or cerebral gigantism, a rare genetic disorder that causes rapid and excessive growth in childhood. Doctors once warned Brock and his family that he likely wouldn't live past puberty, but he's defied all expectations and is still going strong. Growing up, Brock's size brought plenty of unique challenges. By the time he was in nursery school, he was already 5 feet 2 inches tall, taller than most adults. Everyday things like finding clothes or a bed that fit became a struggle, with Brock needing custom-made outfits and an extra-long 8-foot bed just to be comfortable. His height has also caused health issues like a high BMI that led to diabetes and made getting around more difficult. But Brock's story isn't just about obstacles, it's about beating the odds. Recently, he achieved a dream he's had for years, landing a job at a YMCA sports center. Working in a place dedicated to fitness and community has always been his goal. Brock's journey is truly inspiring. Despite all the setbacks, his determination and positive attitude have helped him build a life he's proud of. Which part of a giant's daily life would you find the most challenging? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts or any stories you have to share. If you enjoyed this journey, check out more incredible videos on our channel. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Past Not Past. Always thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.